So this list was very last minute.
Yeah,
Very last
super
minute.
last minute.
It was
dude.
like midnight last night we came up with
I'm
it.
like, dude, do we have a list for tomorrow? What if I didn't say that? Would we have not had a list?
We probably wouldn't have had a list because I would have forgot. I'm gonna be real with you.
So we did special effects.
We did special effects / visual effects. So we kind of just grouped them all together. And let me just, because this is so last minute, I literally did the list while you were talking. I'm not even lying. I literally just did it. Because they were just the first things that came to my mind. I might with stuff like this where I usually come up with a list last minute, I always think about something else like the next day where I'm like, fuck, I should have mentioned that instead, or whatever. Yeah. So take my list with a grain of salt.
As you know what, as ever for both of us, man.
Yeah,
and
for
as
real.
For like every week, it feels like we're like, this is why like ending the lists at some point is going to be like kind of refreshing.
Yeah,
is because I feel like we're half-assing it now.
Yeah, that's the thing, and especially because of how honestly it all boils down to how busy we are. Because when I did not have as much work going on, I would just commit a lot of time to the list. But now that
you have like fucking 3 jobs,
I'm just like fuck, But I do got some honorable mentions though. I got 3.
Okay.
That just kind of came out, and again, we're in a land now where visual effects and practical effects are very, very good.
Yeah.
And depending on the movie and stuff, so the only things that really came to mind was I feel like I gotta mention Star Wars, but not the prequels.
Yeah.
Not the prequels. I understand that we kind of needed the prequels to get to where we are now, And when people watched the prequels back in 1999, they probably thought that shit was like photorealistic. Kind of like when they watched like The Wizard of Oz, they look at that matte painting and they thought it looked real. Dated special effects are dated. Yes. That's just that. But you need the dated special effects to get to where we are now.
Yeah. You have to like kind of think of it like how were they compared to their time? Like, what was everything else looking like?
Exactly. And you don't really notice how bad or dated they look until you think about it retrospectively. So, because I just saw some scenes from the prequels, from Phantom Menace especially, and I'm like, oh man, like that's bad. But in 1999, I was like, this is real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when I saw it in theaters, like.
Yeah, me too.
Whoa.
But yeah, Star Wars for its practical effects,
for sure, yeah.
and also for its visual effects, but mostly in the sequel trilogy.
That's also an honorable mention for me.
Yeah.
But something I was going to say about this list is like, yeah, that's how I kind of go about thinking about like special effects and stuff like that. I basically just weigh them against like what's there at the moment, because there's expectations now for certain effects. Like if they put out a movie and it looked like the first Matrix, I would be like, yeah, this kind of looks like shit.
Right.
Because, like, we're surrounded by, like, really great immersive effects.
That's true.
And, and also, it's not like the new ones they look better than old movies, so that means they're better. Like,
right.
Yeah.
No,
that's just how I'm going about it, too.
We'll get into that. Yeah, and I know a lot of people like to shit on CG, but I'm not one of those people. I think Freddie Wong said it the best. Freddie Wong, who's a visual effects artist and filmmaker, he said, the reason you think CG is bad is because you only notice bad CG. If you look at films from, like, David Fincher, like, there's a ton of CG in David Fincher's movies. Mm-hmm. Like, in Girl the Dragon Tattoo, when she's, like, pouring water on him, and there's, like, blood coming out of his eye or whatever, that blood is CG.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So there's the camera movements in Panic Room.
Yeah, exactly. Or the snow on the ground in... Girl Dragon Tattoo, that's CG. Social Network, the CGI replacement face. Benjamin Button. Did he do Benjamin Button?
Yeah.
He did Benjamin Button. Yeah, Benjamin Button. That was great. I was like, damn.
It's awesome.
I'll put that as an honorable mention, by the way. And then my next one is just Marvel, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think they've come a long way. There are some dated ones, like in Iron Man 1 and The Incredible Hulk.
Yep.
But you look at Thanos and you're like, what the like that should look real.
Yeah.
So...
Well, if you're gonna give a shout out to that, I'm gonna have to give a shout out to the Lord of the Rings, because that's like really what started like motion capture. Like motion capture is like become like really, really good because of that movie.
That's very
and also
true.
the CGI backgrounds are really good too.
Yeah, the extent that was
the green screens and stuff.
Yeah. And I will give the Phantom Menace this too, is that I think that was the first time they used CG for a backdrop. I don't think they ever used that before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
Yeah, they would always come up with like camera tricks and stuff like that, lighting tricks to like kind of do that stuff.
But the idea to do like a whole city in CG just to extend the set was like kind of new at the time. So that's cool. You said motion capture. You're right. I'll put Lord of the Rings down for kind of revolutionizing the idea of it, but I don't think it was really perfected until my next honorable mention, which is Avatar. I think that movie is special effects. The story doesn't hold that movie down. The special effects do. They revolutionized motion capture and 3D technology and CG. You can kind of start to see the cracks a little bit when you look at it now, because the movie's fucking 12 years old, isn't it? No. 2009. 10 years old.
Yeah.
My bad. It's weird because 10 years old, and yeah, you can start to see the cracks a little bit, but it's also just really good. It's just good special effects, you know? I mean, they really kind of killed it. I mean, it made $2 billion strictly because people wanted to see the technology.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't going for the story. They were going for the technology. And so that's pretty cool. And also, I just thought of another honorable mention, if I can just mention it. The first Transformers film, I just kind of recently rewatched that. It still holds up, and it's still like insane how well it actually holds up. Much better than the sequels, which is weird. Just shows that Michael Bay got lazy in the sequels.
Well, maybe they just use the same software
models and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
probably.
just like, yeah, let's just do the same thing.
Yeah, dude. But I rewatched that bus scene with Bone Crusher and Optimus Prime, and I'm like, that shit looks real. It looks crazy. It still holds up, and that movie's 12 years old. Nuts.
Okay, so now I'm gonna switch it up, and well, these movies kind of go together. An American Werewolf in London is like a really good transformation scene. With like prosthetics and stuff. I think it's weird that when you said that we were gonna do this list like this, because it basically just feels like we're picking which one means more to us, practical effects or special effects.
I guess so, yeah.
But the other scene, the other film that goes hand in hand with that is The Fly.
The Fly.
Because of the 7 stages of makeup. And actually, if you go to like the Wikipedia page, you can see like every line, like which like what they did in each stage, what they added to like make him an abomination.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It is interesting though, because I mean, I guess because you always got those people who. It always annoys me when people think, and this is going to be a segue into the list, by the way. It always annoys me when people think that practical effects are better 100% of the time. If you think practical effects are better 100% of the time, you have not seen the first Terminator film when he takes out his eye. That shit looked bad. Okay, that shit looked real bad. You know, when he's like an animatronic head and it's like moving around, I'm like, ugh. I'm like, that's real bad. Which I'm glad they perfected it, though.
God, I can only imagine what it would have looked like back then if they tried to do, like, CG work.
Oh, my God. It wasn't even
around.
At
that time.
Well, good thing he waited to do my number 5, which is T2.
Oh, you're jumping into number 5?
Oh, what? Did you have another honorable mention?
Oh, I have 2 more, dude.
Motherfucker. Okay, go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I had to give a shout out to Jurassic Park because no dinosaurs have looked better than that moment, and that came out like almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And then also Pan's Labyrinth because of the fusion of like the costume design with special effects.
Yeah.
I think the special effects stand alone, like some of the scenes in that film, like when they have that insect flying around, it kind of looks a little goofy, but like when you fuse the two together, like sublime.
I think it works the best when you blend the two.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. You see zombies sometimes where you see the zombie makeup, but then they'll put like a green screen on like the jaw and then remove that in post, and then it looks like crazy real. It's craziness.
I'm so sorry. What was your number 5?
T2.
Okay.
Terminator 2.
Yep.
This movie is an amazing example of blending practical and visual effects. Visual meaning computer, practical obviously meaning, the practical effects. Practical effects with the Terminator is fantastic, especially with some of the action scenes. But the T-1000, I think, still holds up and is still pretty great. They just did a really good job. And I think, again, it shines. Special effects shine when it's a blend of both visual and practical, and this movie shows that. Yeah. So
I agree.
I think, by the way, spoiler alert, a lot of this list is like blending visual and practical. I think I found enough movies to be like, let's the best of both worlds. So
yeah, that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah. Except my number 1 pick. It's strictly one thing.
Oh, okay. My number 5 is Blade Runner.
Ooh, nice.
Dude, that movie got snuffed for that category.
Yeah.
But E.T.? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Get out of here. You're out of your fucking mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, the way that they designed, like, pretty much the entire film, like, they had the matte paintings, they had multi-pass exposure, which is like when you shoot a shot with the lighting that you want, and then you rewind it with a computer-guided camera to have, like, the same exact shot to, like, add, like, additional lighting.
Yeah.
And they would do that, like, 16 times for a scene.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It's crazy. What about sequel?
Dude, I mean, that's the thing. Like, the Blade Runner sequel is also awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like, but is it, like, better than everything that we have right now?
Oh, right.
Like, do I think that, like, it's better than, like, Fury Road, which is, like, a good example, which doesn't show up on my list. But, like, yeah. Like, I don't know. It's great, but, like, I feel like Blade Runner, the way that they were able to, like, make, like, the illusion of, like, cars floating and stuff like that. Like, it's crazy.
Blade Runner, I'll put as an honorable mention. I did have it on my list, but I actually want to kind of change it. But right now, anyway, sorry, were you done with your number 5?
Yeah.
My number 4 is Jurassic Park.
Oh,
it's a perfect, again, it's the perfect blend of practical and visual. And I don't know if you ever heard of Corridor Digital, Corridor. They're a channel on YouTube, and they do a visual effects artists react series, because they're all visual effects artists, and they react to things from movies, and they explain why some of it looks great and some of it might not look that great, and they explore all this, like, crazy stuff. Like, I don't even know how, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, like, a term that they use for, like, something, but anyway, they showed Jurassic Park, and they explained why the scene still holds up and why they used visual effects so intelligently, you know, and they blended it with practical effects, and it works. You know, it's so good. It still holds up. So
yeah,
for
sure. I have not heard of that channel, by the way. So.
Yeah, you should look it up. I'll show it to you maybe later.
Okay, sounds good. My number 4 would probably have to be usually 2001, but I changed it. Because I wanted to talk about something else. I want to talk about Gravity, because I think Gravity is such a, like, it's probably the standout for, like, today's special effects. I can't think of a more immersive movie experience. And there's kind of a reason why there's not a lot of plot and, like, substance to that film. There really doesn't need to be, because that film is completely, like, transportive. It takes you to fucking space.
It does.
So I have to give a shout out to that film, because, you know, 2001 is, like, the creme de la creme of fucking space films. But this is, like, it's right up there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is my number 3?
Yeah.
My number 3 is the Jungle Book remake. That shit looked photorealistic, and I loved it.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great, dude.
It looked real. It looked real. It kind of blew my mind when I saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is weird.
Yeah.
But, like, in a good way. I was just like, and then I didn't realize how much of it was CG. And obviously the animals are CG. I thought at least they were in the environment. No. Everything is blue screen.
Artificial, man.
Everything. And I'm like...
But the fact that you didn't know the difference that
shows.
says something.
I know, and that shows. When I saw the fact that it was literally just a kid running around in a blue screen stage, and I was like, dude, that blew my mind. I was like, no freaking way. How did they do that? That's crazy.
Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
My number 3, dude, is A Trip to the Moon.
Oh, man,
Fucking so good.
Going old school.
Méliès, baby.
George Méliès.
God. It's so good. And you know what's funny is actually this week I just rewatched Hugo.
Oh, yeah, it's so good.
Let me tell you something about that movie, first of all.
Special effects in that are great, too.
Great. No one talks about the fact that he kind of, like, perfected the formula to biopics. He completely changed the format, and no one talks about it. It's not about him. It doesn't follow his life.
Yeah.
It's just, it kind of shows him, like, him in the future and, like, moments of him.
Yeah.
And he's not even the main character.
Yeah.
It's such a good movie.
Such a good movie.
And that movie kind of inspired me. Like, it was so perfect that we picked this list, because I kind of, like, forgot how genius some of the stuff that he did. Like, let me tell you something. The Lumiere brothers.
Yeah.
They made film, and they're like, here, let's just show a train coming at you.
Yeah.
Let's show workers leaving a factory.
Yeah.
And that's all that they needed to be revolutionary. Is
Yeah.
the fact that film existed.
Yeah.
And then he comes around, and he's an illusionist and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He takes that knowledge and puts it into his films.
Mm-hmm.
So he creates really elaborate set designs that make you think that you're in a different place.
Yeah.
And his directing is insane. Because when you go to the moon, and of course you have the famous like face on the moon scene, which is great.
The rocket
and the splicing of like nothing's there, and then the rocket's there, which he did all that himself.
Yeah.
And they would hand color the film reels.
Yeah, they did.
So like on an editing level, which basically editing was special effects back then.
Yeah.
It's completely genius. He did not need to go that hard because like you could have done anything.
Yeah.
You could have filmed anything, and that would have been like something to remember him by.
Oh yeah.
But he just was a visionary that like that doesn't exist today. Like pretty much doesn't exist today.
If you're a film snob like us, or a film, not snob, that's not the right word to use, a film buff. If you are a film buff out there, you need to watch Trip to the Moon. I'm sure it's on YouTube, but I'm sure it's on Netflix as well, isn't it?
It used to be.
It was. I don't know if it's still there, but how long? It's only like 12 minutes long.
It's short as shit.
But it's revolutionary.
You can find it on YouTube. I watched most of his films on YouTube. I've seen like probably a dozen of them.
Yeah.
They're all that level of good though, which is crazy to me.
Without George Méliès, we wouldn't have like just the he promoted imagination.
Yes.
Like we wouldn't have that level of imagination with film if it wasn't for him. Mm-hmm.
So honestly, now that I'm saying it, I'm kind of feeling like that should have been number one.
It's all good, man.
I fucked up big time.
Again, take these with a grain of salt.
Yes.
So is it my number 2?
Yes.
My number 2 is another blending of practical and visual, and that's Mad Max Fury Road.
There you go.
I think it's great, man. Everything is so good. It's so well done. The sandstorm is all great, and that's all CG. The practical effects are all great. There's a video essay by Freddie Wong, actually. This is when he said the only reason you think CG is bad because you only notice bad CG. Mm-hmm. He talks about Fury Road, and he has this whole section in that video. I think the video's called Why CG Sucks Except It Doesn't. He talks about Fury Road and how there's a ton of CG in that film. You just don't know it. And sometimes what they would do is they would take practical cars from different scenes and superimpose them on other scenes to make it look like more cars are chasing the truck.
Yeah.
It's a perfect blend of both visual and practical, and that's why I love George Miller, is because, he did a lot of things practically, but he didn't ignore. He's not one of those guys who just ignores the use of VFX. He understands the importance of it, and loves it.
They're literally everywhere in that movie.
Yeah.
Like even the coloring of like the sand.
Yes, that's true. That's very
Something
true.
that goes unnoticed.
Yeah, and great use of it. Great action film. Love that film
for sure.
So
I'm starting to think I know what your number one is.
I think you know.
I think I know what your number one is. My number 2. See, fuck. I feel like I fucked this list up pretty bad. I feel like my number 1 should be number 3, and my number 2 is Metropolis.
Oh, nice.
Because the way that they designed the city in that movie is like good, is like great enough. They did like sketches, and then they had miniatures, 3D models of the entire city. Mm-hmm. So like we're talking like a couple $1,000 design back then. That was really fucking expensive to make the city, and they only showed it for a couple seconds here and there, and then you'd have like 3D car models moving. Yeah. So like, dude, it's amazing. Like that, especially back then.
For sure.
And another thing that's really great that they did was a Shuftan process. Is that how you pronounce it?
I have no idea.
Shuftan process
mm-hmm.
is when you insert an actor into a shot with miniatures using like special made mirrors.
Oh, right.
Which I mean it's obviously like an outdated concept. We don't really need to do that because we can just do that now. But back then,
mm-hmm.
how do you put an actor into the city that's made completely of miniatures? You would do something like that. Yeah. And of course, that's how so many movies had to find like different, like that's how 2001 did it. Is when they would just they would use like lighting tricks on a projector to kind of make the landscapes for like the moons and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just a brilliantly made film. And then of course you have the Machine Mensch 2, which is like the model design for like the robot. It's awesome. Just a fucking great movie. Just a really that movie went like so much over its budget. I think it was like, to today's standards, like $5 million over budget.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It was the death of expressionism.
Yeah.
Once you have big budget shit like that, you're no longer an expressionist film.
Yeah. Damn, Fritz Lang.
Yeah.
What a sellout. No,
What a sellout. No, but it's like it's probably my favorite silent film. So.
Yeah. Yeah, see, here's the thing. I do have a number one, and I think I might actually surprise you with it, but I think I know what you think my number one is.
Just tell me. I'll tell you. I'll be honest with you.
I bet you think it's Wizard of Oz.
No, I honestly thought it was Gravity.
It is Gravity. Damn it! Holy crap! Whoa! How did you know?
I'm smart, man.
Damn, you're smart. I really did not think you would get Gravity. No, it's Gravity.
Yeah.
That shit look real. What? Like,
because as soon as you said Mad Max Fury Road, I was thinking, I do not think that he thinks Mad Max Fury Road is above Gravity. I just don't think that.
Right. No, it is Gravity. Because Gravity, I remember when I saw Gravity, I was in Florida, and I told myself walking out of the theater, that was one of the best films I've seen in like, one of the best films I've seen in like the last 10 years.
I'm so jealous that you got to see it in theaters.
Yeah, I was like, holy crap. And a lot of people, and I don't necessarily agree with the sentiment, a lot of people think that visual effects takes away the magic of special effects because people don't wonder how they did it. They're like, oh, they just did it in a computer. I disagree with that because my dad would always ask, man, how did they do that? When he would watch Transformers or Star Wars, he'd be like, man, how did they do that? You know what I mean? And even when I say computers, he would just be like, I still don't get it. So, so the magic is still there for me, I think. But I kind of get where they're coming from. But then I saw Gravity, and I was like, how did they do that? How did they do that? And the behind-the-scenes footage of that film is actually kind of scarce, believe it or not. But what they basically did was they built like a light box where they kind of projection mapped the Earth and space in this giant light box around Sandra Bullock and George Clooney so that they almost made the film before filming it. Because they did the film in visual effects and then projected it around the actors so the lighting would match their face. The lighting would match on them.
Yeah, that is pretty insane.
That is pretty insane. Then I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. But I'm like, man, that's crazy. At least they built a practical a spaceship, right? Nope, that was CG. Everything in that film is that film is almost 100% CG. The only thing that's not CG is like the actors. And it blew my friggin' mind. The reason it's above Jungle Book is because, I guess because there's more components to Jungle Book, you can see some of the cracks a little bit more than Gravity, where Gravity, it's like everything looked photoreal. Maybe in like 10 years' time when visual effects has gone to the level of insanity and you just can't tell anymore.
Where you don't even need actors?
And where you don't even need actors.
Oh, dude, that reminds me. Have you ever seen the movie Congress?
No, I haven't.
Oh, dude, I gotta tell you about that later.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe in 10 years' time, I'll look back on Gravity and be like, okay, I can see the cracks. But right now, dude, it was amazing. I saw that baby on a huge screen in 3D, and it was, dude, Alfonso Cuarón's just the man.
Yeah, he is, dude. The Congress is like when they take like actors and they like they basically get like their lines and stuff like that, all their dialogue. They 3D scan them and then they get rid of them. They don't need them anymore. They just give them a ton of money and then they'll use that actor until the day, like for infinite amount of time, like because they're now a computer. Like
damn.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of people talk about that and the ethics of that. I don't think we'll ever get there. I always think there's still going to be use. There's still going to be a use for actors, I think.
For sure.
And there's a lot of ethical questions. Maybe this will be a different conversation, but ethical questions of like bringing dead people back, like Tarkin for Rogue One, or Carrie Fisher for Rogue One as well, even though she was still alive when that happened.
Yeah.
So, But it's like, you know, there is kind of these ethical questions about bringing deceased actors back to life through visual effects and stuff. But so I feel like maybe for a story purpose, maybe stuff like that might serve, you know, an important factor in making a movie. But I don't think we'll ever get to the point where CG actors will entirely replace. I mean, look at
I think it sounds stupid. I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, look at Final Fantasy. Remember what happened there? Final Fantasy Spirits Within?
Yeah.
Where they're like, oh yeah, this is going to be the start of that, where we'll just do entire CG actors who will not only...
What's that movie, like, Beyond something? Isn't that, like, one of those movies like that? It's the one with, like, Matt Damon. It's like Beyond AD or something like that.
Fuck, what is it called? I know what you're talking about. I don't think it's Matt Damon.
No, you're thinking of that Vin Diesel movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No, it's a different one. No, it's an animated film. It came out
film?
like 2000.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll have to look it up.
But I remember the Spirits Within, they had the actress in that film, and they would be like, oh no, this is the actress. She's going to be in other films. Like, just other films that aren't Final Fantasy. And the people were like, that is the dumbest shit ever, because it looks super fake.
Yeah.
And you need Ming-Na Wen, who played the character, so you need an actress to voice the character anyway. So why CG a character? It was so dumb. So I don't think we're ever going to get to that point.
Yeah. And my number one is, which should be totally number 3, is it's the thing again.
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah.
I got just 2 things that I didn't that I looked up about it because I didn't know. I messed it up like when we first talked about it. The name is Rob Bottin is the guy who did all the special effects and stuff like that. He suggested it to look indescribable and like morphing. Because I think that was a great idea personally.
Yeah.
And you could really get really creative with like the monster design with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He got ideas of creature designs from his dreams.
Damn.
That's awesome.
That's messed up. He has some issues. No,
and I definitely mentioned this before, but just to be... he was hospitalized for exhaustion, double pneumonia, and a bleeding ulcer. Because of how much time he spent working on this. He survived off of, like, potato chips, pretty much.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and soda. So, like, yeah. Dedication.
Damn, dude.
That pays off.
That's crazy. So what were your 5? Out of curiosity, what were your entire 5 again?
We got here.
Were they all practical and like no visual? Did you have no visual?
Blade Runner, Gravity, Trip to the Moon, Metropolis, and The Thing.
So only one real like visual kind of. But I guess
Blade Runner has some. Definitely has some for like the cityscapes and stuff. For
sure. Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
that's our list.